Hey, how you doing? It's me, Nomad here, and I'm here for another video in our newbie series to being an urban nomad. So you want to do this, obviously, if you're watching the third video. I mean, if you're watching this video, I don't know if it's third or not, but if you're watching this video, you want to do this. So how do you get started, right? I would say, it depends on your situation, right? So I don't know your situation. If you want, you can ask me in the comments. I can give you my feedback. But, you know, there's kind of three groups, right? So the first group is an individual. You're by yourself. Maybe you have a pet or something. Second group is a couple. And the third group is a family. So I'll try to talk about all three. Because, you know, it's different requirements for all three. If you're a single individual, then your options are pretty much an SUV car, a van, minivan, camper van, or small RV, or whatever you want. Like, you can pretty much do anything. But I would say for my ideal, for like if I was just an individual doing this, I would go with a camper van, because a camper van has pretty much everything an RV does. It's just cramped into a tiny space, but it has the flexibility of a vehicle, a car, so you can park places. It's much easier to stay hidden, you know, to be stealthy, they call it, not draw attention to yourself, and pretty much has everything you need, right? So you don't need a lot of space as the system would have you think. You don't need a lot of stuff as the system would have you think. That's one thing you learn when you do this, is you realize that, like, crap, all this crap I thought I had to have, I don't need. Like, we just don't need as much energy, food, water, or crap as we thought we needed. That a lot of it is marketing that is constantly coming at us saying you need to buy this to be happy, you need to buy this to be secure, you need to buy this, blah blah blah. And the bottom line is that's just feeding the system. Like, the reality is we don't need all that crap. We need maybe 10% of the crap we thought we needed, right? And you learn that when you only have a small space and you're forced to fit in it. Then you discover that reality. And then at first it's kind of like, oh crap, but then you discover, like, wow, I'm actually just as happy, not happier, with just 10% of what I had. So for an individual, I would recommend a camper van. I will try to show pictures in these videos, hopefully. So if you're a couple, a car is, so let's talk about cars and SUVs. So you don't want a car. You don't want to live in a car. And what I mean by that is like a car, like a sedan, where, you know, it doesn't have a hatch in the back and there's no way to put the seats. Like, basically, if you can't put a 5x6 piece of plywood in the back, I can't remember the dimensions of plywood, but if you can't go to the hardware store, put all the seats down and put a piece of plywood in the back and close it, it's too small. You got to have something where you can do that, and what that is an SUV. So most SUVs or trucks allow you to do that, where you can put a piece of plywood in there, at least 6 foot long at a minimum. You know, they have hatches and the seats go back so you can put stuff in them. Well, you can put a bed in there and you can sleep in there. So that's the kind of car you want. You don't want a sedan or a coupe where there's just a trunk and you have to sit sleeping up. You know, I saw this story about this woman that was a security manager at Google in Silicon Valley at the height of the housing crisis, like 2 years ago. And she was homeless, living in her car with her daughter. I don't know if it was a minivan or something. I think it was a car. And they slept sitting up for like a year. Like, that was freaking ridiculous. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, in all that time, you had this decent job. I mean, sure, you know, the Bay Area is expensive, but she was living in her vehicle, so she was getting paid a decent amount to be the security manager. Like, I don't understand people's mentality. Like, I don't understand it. Like, it's like, why would you go and buy something where you can sleep horizontal? So in the link will be a thing about that, like why sleeping horizontal is the most important thing of all things. I'm not going to reiterate it here. It's very important to get sleep, and so whatever vehicle you're in, be it an SUV or a van or whatever, you need to have it configured so that you can sleep horizontally and get good sleep. You're not going to get good sleep sitting up. That's just dumb. So the other thing is a truck. Like, so if you have a truck, you can put a cover over it, one of those covers, or you can put a truck camper. I mean, I would recommend just getting a truck camper if you can. I mean, they have all kinds of truck campers out there now, so there's really no excuse. But it's like similar to a camper van. You can convert your truck into the functionality of a camper van, where you have a bathroom and a kitchen and a place to put your stuff, and that's really what you want. So if you just do a cover, which there's a lot of people who do that, then it's kind of like you have to build your own little sink and stuff, and it's kind of harder. I mean, by the time you do that, you might as well just got a little, those camper shells that fit on top of a pickup truck in the back. So, yeah. Although, like I said, I think a camper van for either an individual or couples is the ideal. But I guess if you're just an individual, camper van. So if you're a couple, there's a couple called the Russos that I used to follow that sold their house, sold everything, and moved into a camper van, a modern, expensive one. But they look like some people that had some money, so they could afford it. I don't know what they're doing now, but I'll put the link in the bottom. And if you go to their earlier videos, you can kind of get a sense of what it's like to live in a camper van, a nice modern one, as a couple. I think they had a dog too or something. It's kind of cramped, but it can work for a couple if you get along and you like each other, then it can work. Like I said, if it was just me by myself, I would do a camper van. Now, if you're a family and it gets complicated, I mean, you can do this. You can do this with pets. You can do this with cats. You can do this with dogs. If you want to know what it's like doing it with cats, I recommend checking out a channel that's like the #1 best channel on this subject. It's Gone with the Wynns. I've been following them for years. They started out with just an RV. They went around the country in an RV, a nice one that I think they borrowed money to buy or something. I don't think they paid cash. I mean, maybe they did. I don't know. But it was one of the nice RVs. And they had 2 cats. And the reason I like them is that they're very helpful. And in all their videos and on their website, they give all the details of everything about what they're going through. So it's like a handbook on this whole thing, right? Right now they're in a boat. They sold the RV and they bought a catamaran and they're sailing across the Pacific right now. That's what they're doing, and it's pretty cool. And they had the cats, but then the pandemic came and one of the cats got sick, so they had to get rid of the cats. So now it's just them without the cats. But if you want to know what it's like with pets, you can watch them. There's a ton of these things on YouTube, as you probably know. Just Google search whatever. A lot of people have dogs. There's a lady that's, I think, the #1, Jennelle. She has a snake. It's like pets. I think pets help channels, as a gimmick, but you can do it. I mean, honestly, me personally, I'd be a little worried about a pet, like cats. It's cats because you're moving all the time. And I've lost cats. I mean, not with just with my house. I've lost cats. Now, I've never had a cat or a pet in a vehicle living, but I would worry about losing the cat. Like if because you're gonna get someplace, you're gonna open a door and it's gonna run out. That's what cats do. They're gonna check and they're gonna run out, right? It's like, will it come back? Will it come back in time for me to leave, right? So you'd have to be really careful about that. It just seemed like something to be kind of stressed about. Dogs, on the other hand, are like, I think would be easier, but the trade-off is dogs are much higher maintenance than cats. You have to walk them every day. They're gonna mess up the place, chew on things. I mean, it just seems. So I would say, like, if you have a pet, I would recommend something bigger than a camper van. I would recommend a small RV, meaning like if you're a couple with pets, then something like 20 feet or so, 20 to 20 feet. So let's get into RVs. So basically, if you're a family of, then you should get an RV. You'll have more space. And I would say, like I have a family, so I'm a good example of this. So it's me, my wife, and at one point it was my 2 daughters and her boyfriend. So it was 6 of us in there, and I have a 30-foot RV. So it's a 1989 Rex Hall AirX RV, and it's worked fine. Right now, it's currently me and my son, my wife, and it's just 4 of us, and it works fine. Now, the trade-off with a bigger RV is that you're going to be noticed for sure. As a rule, people don't like RVs, and then people don't like RVs. So I don't care what it is. Now, that's another video, the type of RV to get. But just know you're the enemy. No one's going to be like, oh, I love that RV across from my house. Nope, not happening. So you're going to draw more attention. It's going to be more stressful. If you're in a camper van, it's easier to stay hidden and not draw attention to yourself. So that gets into the length of the RV and the bigger. So the bigger it is, like mine is 30 foot long, it's going to take more energy and mental. It's just going to be more hassle, right? The bigger it is, the harder it is to park. Big RVs are kind of like jet airplanes. Like they're really designed for the freeway. And so when you're driving in the city, imagine driving a 747 plane through the city. Like that's kind of what it's like, But then when you're on the freeway, it's like you're flying and cruising at 40,000 feet, That's kind of what it's like. So I actually like driving on the freeway better than through the city. When you're in the city, it's just harder to park, to turn, to back up. You draw attention to yourself. Yeah, it's just a lot more work. The bigger the RV, the more work. It's like boats, But it's not that bad, honestly. Like, a lot of people didn't think I could live in a city with this huge RV. I didn't think I could either, but I'm very smart and savvy about it. I'm not dumb about it, like some people here. So, I guess I'm saying if you're a family, you should get a bigger RV. So, what are the different types of RVs? So, that's going to be another video. I'm going to try to keep these videos little short snippets. That's what I'll talk about in the next video. All right. If you can, like, subscribe, and share this with people who you think could use the information, because I'm really doing this because I want to help people. All right. Talk to you soon.